If you can, as always, please provide your name and affiliation when asking a question, and we'll let you all take it away for questions. That's your camera right here, Coach.
All right.
Tony, this is Gene in Charleston. With the Citadel coming up and then, a bye week after that, how you think you're going to kind of balance the playing time versus, needing to get work in and wanting to get playing time for guys?
Right. The beautiful thing about, what Coach Sweeney has established in the mindset here, every game is the biggest game of the season, biggest game on the schedule. So obviously we're not overlooking the Citadel. We're going to have our guys ready to go. And just like last week, as the situation presents itself, then we'll use that as an opportunity to develop our team and get some guys playing time. But, it's a difficult question to answer. But for us, our mindset is, hey, this is the biggest game on the schedule. We're focusing on Clemson, so we'll go in with that mindset. And then if the game allows, we'll get opportunities for other guys.
Coach Trevor Groves, CUTigers.com here. I guess the elephant in the room is how quickly you're on the phone to your buddy Jeff Scott yesterday to ask him about the Citadel. It looked like they did a pretty good job against USF's passing game, not as good against the run.
Right. Definitely that started the night after the game, Saturday night on the bus. Just really first reaching out to congratulate Jeff on his first win, kind of ask him how that experience was, and exchange a few ideas then. And then a lot of the support guys have reached out and had those conversations. But the Citadel did a good job against those guys, like you said, in the passing game. Did give up some rushing yards, but overall, man, you playing a team like the Citadel, they got good young men that are going to be physical as they can be. They're going to be smart. They're going to be disciplined. So we're looking forward to the opportunity to get back out there and play, focusing on ourselves first and foremost, but looking forward to the challenge.
Tony, how did you feel about your backup offensive lineman having, had a chance to look at that on film now?
It was good for them to get experience. I thought they played hard. I think the offensive line, I know you're asking about the second team, but I thought the first team set the tempo for the entire offense with the way that they played, and it carried over to the younger guys when they got an opportunity. Now, I think they understand what we're talking about how the game moves faster than practice in some situations. So you got to be mentally locked in. So I thought their effort was good. Got some things to clean up from a technique standpoint, a couple of missed assignments there, but nothing major. I think a lot of it was just the lights were on, and lights were on, and you're moving fast, and the communication is a little bit different. So I think there were a couple situations where they may not have heard what they should have heard, but it's just a function of, man, they were excited to play. So encouraged, by their effort, encouraged by the most part by their retention, but still an opportunity to coach, and I think it gets their attention now that they worked hard, and we told them if you earn the right to play, we're going to do our job as coaches and give you an opportunity to play.
Hey, Tony, Josh from the Post-Courier. You guys ran 82 plays on Saturday. Was that deliberate? Were you trying to play a little bit faster than normal?
Right. The DNA and the origin of this offense is tempo related, and so really, the off season was a focus emphasis even starting in the spring of getting back to playing fast. Obviously, understanding that we have a goal from a snap count standpoint. And that the philosophy might have changed just a little bit with we want to play fast, but at the same time too, we want to give the quarterback the ability to get us in a good situation, and always try to give him answers built into the concepts that we call, but also giving him the ability, if he needs to take an extra look at it, he can take an extra look at it, trying to get into the right call. But yes, just trying to get these guys to play fast, I think from two ends, because it really stresses defenses, and I think that they were able to see that in the game, that when you play fast, especially if a team is a challenge from a depth standpoint, you can really put pressure on them, and it forces the defense to play on their heels. And then the other thing too, I think individually, when you play with tempo, the faster you play, the faster you get lined up, the more you can process before the ball is snapped. And so a lot of times what happens when you have guys with missed assignments or technique errors, a lot of times is they're trying to think post-snap. And really you want to get to a point in the game of football where you're just reacting post-snap because you've already processed all the information pre-snap. Your anticipation. You've quickly validated things post-snap, and then now you can just play free.
Tony, this is Larry Williams with Tiger Illustrated. Sort of piggybacking off of that, when you have a quarterback who's as great as Trevor is at processing things and getting you into the right play, how much of a challenge is that like the balance between go, and giving him that authority to sort of scan the field and get you in the right play?
Right, definitely. So I think it starts with, when we design concepts that we try to build in as many answers as possible, which may have been different, in the past when the offense first came in. There might have been a 1-2, but now we try to build concepts where there's a 1-2-3 and sometimes even a 4. So the key for us, all the perimeter guys, is to go ahead and get lined up so that he can see that information. And so again, we're still trying to go, but giving him enough ability to be able to see what he needs to see to make the right decision. And that's where I think, is the best in the country, is the ability just to process information, to anticipate and then to validate and be able to know exactly where to go with the ball. And then third down situations are a little bit different, just because we know the importance of extending drives by being efficient on third down. So third down, you might slow a little bit more. You might dummy a little bit trying to get a true tip on it, but we're still trying to go fast. And then whenever Trevor needs to slow it down, he could possibly slow us down.
Coach, it's Trevor again. After watching the film, you're without 3 running backs the other night. How would you evaluate those freshmen, how they performed, and particularly in pass protection?
Right. I thought they did a good job. First, just overall, handling the situation. I thought that the lights weren't too bright for them. You always worry about that when you got young guys, their first game action. How are they going to be? I thought they both rose to the occasion. I thought for the most part they were settled in on the plan. They were able to retain information. Didn't get tested as much in pass protection at that point in the game. Spotted those guys. If I thought it was going to be some situations where there might be something complex, rolled Darian in there. But overall, I was pleased with their performance. Thought that they made the most of the opportunities, and it was good for those guys to get some experience, because I think down the stretch run, it's going to be critical for their development. It's also going to be critical for our success, as an offense.
Tony, this is Matt with the State. It seemed like there were a lot of play action type plays, especially early in the game. Was that RPO, straight RPO, or were those more straight play action?
It's a combination of both. We did have, some more intentional, down the field stuff where we needed some play action. Obviously, when you're trying to throw the ball down the field, when you're 2.5 seconds or greater in terms of the route depths and the timing, you're going to have to go more play action. You keep most of your RPO restricted to a lot of your quick stuff. So it was a combination of both, but it was intentional, trying to really, put the ball in the air and see if those guys can go make a play.
And what did you think of Trevor's accuracy? And when he's able to be accurate on those quick throws and hit guys in stride, just how does that help as far as after the catch?
I think the only one that I can recall that he missed was the one on third down. It was a little bit behind Frank, on a corner ball, and then he had a couple balls that were dropped, and he had one that was caught out of bounds. So I thought his accuracy was really good, and I think the one with Amari, he had to step up in the pocket or slide step, so we were a little bit late getting it there, but he put it exactly where it needed to be, and Amari had an opportunity to catch it. So I thought his accuracy was good, and I think it's critical with any quarterback that you try to get him into a rhythm, as quick as you can. And some guys can get into a rhythm multiple ways. Some guys need a quick throw, some guys need to put the ball in the air. The beauty about Trevor is he can get into a rhythm pretty much in any situation that you put him in.
Hey Tony, this is Grace Rayner with The Athletic. Now that obviously you've seen the tape, what's your assessment of DJ, the practice player, versus DJ now having been in the game?
Right, very, very similar. Again, very similar to the freshman backs. Didn't feel like the lights were too big for him. I thought he did a good job of going out there and managing it. Didn't have as many opportunities to put the ball in the air because of the situation in the game, but thought he was good with that. So definitely pleased. Didn't see anything that makes me think any different. Just exactly what I thought. For a young man to come in our environment, on our practice field, and be able to show the things that he can show, you have no reason but to believe that it's going to be confirmed when the actual lights come on in the game.
Tony,
Hey,
this is go ahead, Ann.
Anna with Clemson 24/7. I know you already touched on the first team offensive line, just being pleased with how they set the tone. But Jordan McFadden in particular, kind of the first time we saw him in a starting role, how did he grade out, and just your overall thoughts on his performance?
Oh man, he's a dancing bear. I mean, it's just amazing how athletic that young man is, and he's a quiet guy. Doesn't say much, man, but he plays big. So definitely pleased with his performance. Very, very encouraged. He's a guy that I think, as Bakhor said, we have the ability, I think, with this offensive line to kind of really have that nasty demeanor about him, and he's a guy that leads the way, even though he doesn't say much. And the great thing about a tackle, if you don't have to call his name, a lot like when we had Mitch Hyatt, man, he's doing his job. So he's very good, very physical, made some plays athletically that you're like, wow, that you were able to see him move. So very, very pleased with how Jordan McFadden played.
Tony, this is Larry Williams again. Just curious, with Joseph and Frank, Ngata and Ladson coming back, was their biggest obstacle in getting back into peak conditioning shape? And if so, are they back at 100% from a conditioning perspective right now?
I believe that's something that all we question about all the guys too, because of the way the summer went, the off season. We didn't have a typical off season, so we had to make sure that we did a good job of managing the schedule to make sure that we got them to the game in the best possible shape that we could, considering the circumstances. And I think that's an obstacle for those guys. I think it was an obstacle for all those guys. But I didn't notice any issues. Really didn't see any conditioning issues with any of our guys. And again, that's a testament to the way the guys worked this off season, but more importantly, a testament to the guys and the strength staff and just their ability to continue to find ways to have our team ready to go to where we feel like every game we walk into, we have a better conditioned team with the right mindset to be able to go out and play. So I thought those guys look good.
Coach, it's Trevor again. I asked you last week about play calling for the tight ends in the passing game. I don't think any of us would have predicted that JC would have been the first of those four to catch a touchdown pass, but kind of take us through that play and how good was it to see those three guys make the catches that they did?
It was awesome to see those guys get back involved in the offense. And as I said, I think when we're at our best, offensively is when we can stay in 11 personnel and we can attack you down the field and then also be able to get into our two-back run sets. And, happy with Braden. He's a guy that I think we all know athletically. But really was pleased with his tenacity and his toughness in the blocking game. I thought he did a good job of really elevating his game. And Davis is that guy. And I think what you saw, and you mentioned J.C. Chalk in your question, but I think what's happened is the competition in that room has elevated everybody's play. And it just so happened that when we called that play, it was JC's time. And hey, when it's your time, it doesn't matter. If the play might have been designed for somebody else, we got to have everybody ready to play. So I was really, really happy for JC. He's a guy that's worked hard, and I think what you're seeing is when you see your counterparts in your room, making plays and having opportunities, it elevates your play. And I think that's what Davis has done for both of those guys in the blocking game, is that he's able to set the tone from a physical mindset and mentality. And then be able to go out and show improve, and those guys elevate their game. And I think Braden does the same for the other two as well, from an athleticism standpoint and from a playmaking standpoint. And so what you're seeing a group of guys that are competing with each other, playing with each other. And so then the standard doesn't change regardless of who's in the game. So really happy for all those guys to kind of not just hear what I've been saying to the offense, but be able to go out and see it actually come to life.
Tony, do you know or have an update yet if you guys will have Lyn-J, Chez, and Mikey Dukes this week?
Lyn-J, and I got that question after the game. Lyn-J was ready to go, but wanted to be smart. You're talking about coming off of a knee with a running back and, not having as much contact on it because he missed some of the critical contact time there with his rehab. So really just didn't want to push it. And he understood it and he was good with it. He agreed with the situation. Now he was there and I had told him, he prepared like he was playing and he was ready to go if it was a situation where the game dictated it. And then I anticipate this week we'll get Chez back, get him going in pads, get him a little bit of contact, see where he is, and anticipate the same thing with Mikey having those guys back. So it's gonna be a challenge, when you got 7 guys that are ready to play.
Hey Tony, they said on the broadcast that I think Trevor now puts his right foot back instead of his left foot back when he's getting the snap. I just didn't know if you had any involvement in that and if that really changes his quick game efficiency.
I think that people are always looking for opportunities to define and specify why Trevor is who Trevor is, and stuff like that would be conversation between him and Coach Streeter, and I know Coach Lossman, who can't officially coach on our staff, but I know he's heavily involved in conversations with Streeter and the development of our quarterback. So that could be something that they're talking about. But we do challenge him just to make sure that he's always consistent with what he's doing, because just as if they broadcast something like that, then people are hearing that, they're studying him. So we say, whatever you do, just make sure you're consistent, that you're not tipping if it's quick game, if it's drop back, if it's run or pass.
Anything
Tony,
else for Coach Elliott?
Larry Williams here again. Coach Sweeney was raving about, or has been for a while, raving about Walker Parks' mentality just not the typical freshman in terms of sort of how ready he is to mix it up. And I'm just curious for you to maybe expand on what you've seen out of him in that respect.
Yeah, and I wasn't. So this is kind of secondhand information. I wasn't down on the sideline, but just in our post game conversation, his name did come up, and the way he was described is just as you said, man. He was challenging the rest of those guys on the offensive line because we had a couple of 3 and outs there, and he was just challenging like, man, we can't go 3 and out. We want to play. We got to get better. We got to do our job. So he's very no nonsense, but he's very coachable at the same time. Very serious, very, very focused, which a lot of freshmen, they come in that way and then they might get a little bit overwhelmed with what they're seeing on the practice field, how fast the game is played at this level, the complexity of the playbook. Sometimes that takes away, some of that because they're kind of just figuring out how to survive. But he's a guy that hasn't been fazed by any of that. You can see that he's got a very, very strong personality type in terms of his confidence and who he is. He understands what it takes to be successful. And I think that's what gives him the confidence and the seriousness to go out there. Even though he's a freshman, he's not afraid to be a leader. And so that's something that I appreciate about him. And I think that, for us, when we've been able to be successful offensively, we know that Trevor is who he is, and he's the leader of our team, the leader of our offense. But I think that we all also understand that if you're not situated on an offensive line, you don't have cohesion and chemistry and toughness and leadership, then you're not going to be successful. And I apologize too if I'm trying to figure out where to look, and so if my eyes are kind of going in the wrong direction, I apologize. The camera's on the left. I got the little picture of myself on the right, so I apologize about that.
Any